Hey masters, welcome back to JoanMedia. It is a pleasure to have you here. Today, as you saw in the title, we're going to be using Cypress INTERCEPT and Cypress Wait to spy on a API request, right? We can check also the response. We can save the ID already generated by the API request, right? We can check the response, get the ID and use it in another method. Well, we're gonna learn all of that in this video. Hope that you enjoy it. Please let me know in the comment section if you have some feedback. I'll be more than glad to hear that from you. And please let a like and subscribe if it is possible. Let's go to the code. Okay, master, let's imagine that we have this application, right? The to-dos application. And as soon as I add a new to-do to the list, right? You can see that we have a new request here. It is basically a post request. It is sending the post information to the to-dos endpoint. And here we have the information that was sent in the background by the API. Okay, so you can also check that we have a response over here with the same information that we sent to the API. Basically, the API is responding with the same information, and maybe you want to check or not, but you may want to check that after you add a new to-do to this list, it is responding with this status code 201. And you might be wondering how I can do it, because I'm playing around with the UI, but I cannot check the API response. But with Cypress you can do it easily. Okay, so let me delete this code so I can try to explain you what I'm gonna do. Basically, I have a describe here. It is gonna be an API intercept. Okay, intercept spy example. Okay. And well, the next step that I want to do is basically create a before each method over here, so I can visit my website every single time that I perform a init or a script. Okay, and I'm gonna do a site visit. I have I'm gonna be visiting the root of my project. Why? Because I'm defining the base URL in the Cypress.json. Basically, every single test or every single request that I send, it is gonna be using this base URL as reference. If you want to learn more about Cypress.json, please let me know in the comment section, because I could make a video about it. For sure. Okay, as soon as I have visited my application, I want to create a new to-do by the UI, right? So I'm gonna call this new to-do by UI. Okay, we're gonna be making a function over here too, and inside of this function we are gonna be doing something else, right? I'm gonna delete the to-do from the UI because I don't want to do it anymore here. And well, the same stuff as always, right? We're gonna be getting the element of this input over here, which is input ID add to do. So it is going to be something like input number symbol and the name of the ID. Then I want to type on that particular input, right? So I want to name the new to do as new to do, and then I'm going to be performing an enter action to, well, add my to do in the UI, right? So if I save this in my JSON, my JavaScript file, I'm sorry, you can see that I have triggered the change in my test runner. So as you can see, we're getting the element, we are typing on it, and then we should have the final response. Let me show you. There it is. Now we have a new to do in the UI. Okay, and as you can see, this is a request that Cypress is detecting. Basically, if I inspect this in the console, you can see that it is a request with the method post, and it is sending the information to that to-dos. Basically the same thing that I show you over here in the network part, right? Do you remember that? That's basically the same stuff. So what I want to do, basically I want to tell Cypress to spy on this request as soon as it happens, so we can check the response, we can check the ID, the title, and if you want to, you can also grab, for example, this response over here. Check that response body, and you can grab the ID of that particular to do. You can do it easily with Cypress. So let's go ahead and try to do it. We're gonna be declaring a CY.INTERCEPT at the beginning of this code, okay? And we have to define some things over here, okay? You can do it in different ways. You can check the official documentation, but the easy way to do it, I think, and the clear path to do it is basically declaring the method at the beginning of the intercept, right? Then you have to declare the endpoint. In this case, it's gonna be to-dos, right? And then you have to use the keyword as to declare and save this as an alias. Okay, in this case, I want to call this new to-do. Okay, I'm not gonna save this right away. I'm gonna delete my new to-do from the UI, okay, and I'm gonna save it now. Okay, and as you can see in the test runner, now we have a new to-do alias at the right part of my request that happened immediately after we added by the UI with the site type, right? Site get and then site type. Let's imagine that now I want to use this interception or this information using site wait. Okay, there it is, and now we can reference the alias that we have defined before over here. Let me show you that, and you can do different stuff. Now let me show you this. I'm gonna make a shoot. I'm gonna grab the response, and I'm gonna be logging the response in the test runner. Okay, so I'm gonna save this again, and you're gonna check in the test runner that we are logging an object, and this object has basically the request that you have sent, the information that you have sent in the first request, and then you have the response, because we are mapping that particular post after we are sending the information by the UI. And here in the part of the response, you can see that we have a status code 201, and the status message is created. Let's imagine that we want to make sure that after we send the UI action, we're getting this 201 code by the request. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna show you different ways to do it. The first one would be something like it's okay, and we can map by the property path over here the response and the status codes of the response, and then you can use an assertion, okay, to make sure that the response status code is equal to 201, which is 201 created. I'm gonna save it, and as you are gonna see in my test runner over here, you can see that the status code is matching 201 as expected. Okay, that's something that you can do when you spy on a API request, but you can do it differently. Okay, let me show you another way. I can do it with Cypress get or site get. You can reference in the same way the new to do, right? And you can do an assertion too with should. For example, I'm gonna grab the response again. It is gonna be something like request, okay? And or I can call it new to do, right? Easily. Yeah, I think that could be something like that, new to do. And I'm gonna use an arrow function over here. And then what I'm gonna do is basically I don't know, an assertion. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna grab the response again to show you how it looks. Okay, and it is gonna be new to do, right? Let me show you that. As you can see, we have another object after we get the new to do alias, right? It is in the same way as we did before. And now I want to check, for example, the title of the response. So if I come here to the yielded object of the response, I can come to the body and then look for the title of this response. So let's go ahead and do it. New to do. And we have to pass all the property over here, and then I'm gonna be doing I'm gonna do it in another line. It's gonna be an expect. Okay, here we have to do a new to do that all the property path, and then we have to do, for example, to equal and then we have to well, match or check if the title is the correct one based on the one that we sent by the UI, right? So I'm gonna save this and check if it works or not over here. And as you can see, well, we are checking with CyGet that the alias or the interception has the correct title on the response of the post request. I know it is a kind of tricky, but I hope that you're understanding. But there is something else. So let's take a look of this trick. Let's imagine that you want to get the ID, right, of the to-do that you have done over here with this object, and you want to have it for deleted after your suite was executed. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. What I'm gonna do is basically create a constant variable over here. It is gonna be a new to-do ID, right? And we're gonna grab the value of it, basically changing the body title with the body ID of the response, right? That's correct. And then the next step is basically do a CyPress, okay? And the CyPress is gonna contain basically the variable that we have declared before, the new to-do ID, and then we have to declare an alias to call this, well, in the same way, maybe to-do ID over there. Now let's imagine that you want to delete the new to-do that you did by UI just to reset the status of your application. I don't know. It is just an example, right? You can use it in other ways, but then you can do perfectly an after over here. We'll make a function, and inside of the function, inside of the function, you just have to do a side request, okay? And we have to check what has to have the request. Let me show you that. If I come here to the UI, okay, I'm gonna delete all the to-dos over here except one. There it is. We're gonna go to the network. I'm gonna delete all the requests, and I'm gonna delete one request over here. You can see that as soon as I click on the delete, we are also sending another API request, basically to the same API endpoint, but we are sending the ID of that particular to do. Okay, we're sending a method delete, and we are expecting to have a 200 okay in case you want to well, make sure that it has a 200 okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and make side request. It is gonna be a delete method over here. Then we have to send basically the information, right? In this case is something like this, but instead of using a an static ID, you can send it by parameter, and you can use the new to do ID that you have declared by an alias over here, right? So if I save this, I hope that it works. Let me see if there is something else in my UI. It is not. So let's go ahead and check what is happening. I do the same stuff that we saw before, right? However, we are deleting it as soon as we finish the test, right? With an after all. So if I check the UI, probably we don't have any to do extra, because I have deleted immediately with the ID that I have grabbed in my with Cypress. Okay, I hope that you can understand this concept, because I think it's so powerful, and well, it is something that you can use with other approaches, but well, I hope that it helped you. Thank you very much, guys, for watching the video. Please subscribe, let a like, let a comment. It will help me a lot and motivate me a lot too. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one, boys. Goodbye, guys.